You're listening to the Academy Podcast, presenting an innovative curriculum for personal growth. Sit in on exclusive conversations with influential people as they share the secrets that made them the front runners in their industries. Now, here are your hosts, Austin and Kagia.
That's good.
I'm scared.
All right, yo, at their wedding, yo, they had me. I was wearing a velvet suit jacket. So why was I positioned? Someone was just burning. I felt like I was on fire. At some point, I turned around and they positioned me right in front of a raging fireplace.
Yeah.
Really?
So
Yes, dude.
listen,
Yo,
we were getting ready,
I thought I was lit.
while we were getting ready, it was so freezing cold, and we asked them like turn the air down a little bit, and then they did, but it just turned it off. And then they couldn't get it to turn back on by the time the wedding was going, and we had a fireplace
like,
going in July.
Another question. I got another question. In fact, I'm going to ask it now since we already recording. I'm just going to ask it right now. Look, all right, there's stereotypes about black people and white people. Some stereotypes are made up and some stereotypes are true. Yeah. So one stereotype that I think, maybe it's not true, but I think white folks like it colder, right? Because when I go in the movies, it's freezing up in that spot, right? And white folks be comfortable, right? So is that fact or fiction? Do white folks like it cooler?
I mean, it definitely is for me, but I also grew up in Maine, so even I like cold more than.
And how many black folk are in Maine? None. Exactly.
Oh, you mean like they was there, like they was there, and they was like, it's too cold, we leaving.
Yeah, that's fine. I had one black kid in my whole high school. He's only one.
Wow.
Yeah, that was it. No,
all right,
I prefer, I always tell her, go into a hotel room where it's like the blasting air conditioner that punches you in the face. That's perfect for me. And she likes the 95 sauna, can't breathe heat.
Man, that is so horrible. What about talking in the movies?
Oh, I don't.
You don't talk?
This is why we go to the drive-in theater.
But also
so I can talk in the movies.
Yeah, but also we'll be watching a Netflix, and she'll be on her phone doing whatever, and then she'll be like, "Oh, babe, I missed it. Can you rewind it 10 minutes?" And I'm like, awesome.
Yeah.
I gotta rewind this again.
She's like, "Yo, what happened?" I'm like, "We're watching this together."
You think it would help if you weren't looking at your phone? You think you might pick up on the?
Can we switch spots?
Switch spots,
dude.
I don't like that side.
So, dude, when we're watching TV or movies, especially, dude, Rondora stops me constantly, asking me what's going on and what's going to happen, and I'm like, "You really don't want me to tell you what's going to happen."
That's true.
My
wife wants to know though. She's like, "Is this going to be scary? What happens next?" She's big on that.
Let me know.
She's big. She's big on that. That's crazy though. No, I saw you though. So, do you when you go to bed at night? Do you like the house to be in the 70s or the 60s?
Oh, I like it to be just as cold as possible.
So it seems so far.
I think
my wife likes it on 66.
Yeah, the lowest. Well, I mean, what's the lowest we get at 71?
We put it on 71 is the coldest.
We have a fan too.
And it's only because he sweats at night and it gets real hot.
Yeah.
So
he's got to have it cool.
On 71, but I'm freezing at 71 before he falls asleep.
But it's also this guy. It's our cat. But I think it's also where I grew up in it would get to 90 maybe once all summer in Maine. It was 75, 80 all summer because it was right in the ocean. So my body's not used to heat.
So you grew up in Maine all your life?
Yeah. Yeah, I grew up right in the ocean. So
that's
too hot.
So about this temperature thing, this is the confusion. I don't know if y'all have this problem, and this is my wife. My house is always cold in the summertime and hot in the wintertime. And that just don't make no sense to me. I mean, because you're paying to change the temperature. So I would think it would be cold in the wintertime and hot in the summertime, but no, it's the opposite. So I'm just thinking, I just feel like I can see the dollar bills just flying out of the window. I could just look outside and just say bye to all the money, in the summer or the winter. Like whatever it's doing outside is the opposite on the inside. I'm freezing up in here in the summer, and I'm burning up in the winter, and I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with this. Now, do y'all have that problem?
I mean, it's a little different in Atlanta. It definitely was like that when we lived up north because we always needed the heat, and it was super expensive, and to heat a whole house took forever. I had that stupid little like heater in my room.
Yeah. No, now, I mean, we don't really have the air ever blasting. And even in the winter, I mean, in the summer, we like to have the windows open and the fans going. So I like fresh air. So it's never like freezing in here during the summer.
Oh, yeah, that's tight with the fresh air. That's tight with the fresh air.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, I know we've been talking a little while, but I just want to welcome everybody into the show. This is the Academy Podcast with Austin and G. We're glad y'all came in here. We're delighted to have this wonderful couple. They've been married for almost 4 years. Do you think you'll make it to 4 years? Is everything all right?
Hopefully.
How long you got before you get to 4?
11 days. 11 days.
11 days.
Okay. All right. You can listen. I believe in you.
Thank you.
I do too.
I believe y'all can do it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right.
We do too.
What are y'all currently fighting about?
Ooh, what
That's
are we
a good
fighting
question.
about?
That's a good question.
What did we fight about last?
Well, the answer should be nothing, bro. I never fight with my wife, man.
It's great. Yeah, everything's great.
You're the best.
What typically?
Go ahead.
I think for me is I'm not as like I'm a lot more laid back and calm, so I don't raise my voice as much. But Tvon's just naturally louder, so like it sounds like she's really yelling right here, but her regular voice is here, whereas I'm all the way down here, so I have to really jump 8 levels to get yelling. But I do like stuff like little stuff that pushes her buttons, and then she blows up at me. And I'm like, "Whoa, that came out of nowhere. What's happening?" She's like, "Actually, it did. You did 5 things that pushed my buttons. Is that a good?"
So she's
I
already.
have a different answer, but okay.
All right, I just want to deal with this right here with Paul. He's saying he's down here and you're up here just on a regular base level, so you don't have to go much. But then he said he has to go all the way up here to catch up. Now, my question is, Paul, why do you have to catch up? Like, do you feel like y'all both need to be yelling? Like, if she's yelling, or can you just chill? Can you just rock it out? Like, yeah, babe, I hear you.
Yeah.
Or do you feel like you have to match?
Usually, when I do that, it doesn't escalate, and things are great. And that's sort of how.
That's what we argue about. Not escalating non-arguments.
Yeah.
Discussions.
Not making discussions turn into arguments.
All right, this is not therapy. But I suggest that if your base level is here and hers is here, and she just goes here, and you're like, she's yelling. If you just go here, then y'all even. If you go all the way up here, then you're overdoing it.
That's
right.
What she
okay.
Said, yeah.
All right.
But
All right.
I don't get that high that often. But it is more of a jump for me. I guess I'm trying to stay down here.
He's trying to beat that stereotype white man can't jump. So you got to go above and beyond.
I don't like yelling though. I'm non-confrontational. Is that true with you, Paul?
Oh yeah. So yeah, I think actually like when we first were dating, a lot of our disagreements were she'd say, "How does this not bother you?" I'm like, we'll figure it out, like whatever. But more bothers me now. So.
Now, was that stuff on the outside she was talking about that should bother you, or stuff in the house that she's doing that should bother you?
I think it was more like stuff that happened to us, or
like caring more about like things that have like that outside people are saying or doing that affects one of us. So like caring more about that. Whereas like, if somebody disrespects one of us, caring about it and like doing something about it and not just being like, whatever.
Right.
Do you have an example of somebody disrespecting you or you?
I was thinking recently, like Tvon, when she posts stuff, on YouTube, but also on her Instagram, she posted something on Loving Day, and it was a picture of us talking about, Pappy, I met my husband, he's educating himself, et cetera, et cetera. And everyone, great picture, love you guys, great. But there was one guy that was he said something like, this isn't something to celebrate.
He said, my ancestors will be rolling around in their graves and blah, 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 all that stuff.
So and granted, it wasn't a direct attack on me, it was more to her, but I just said, obviously this guy is got something going on in his life and it's a problem. Like, why worry about it? Because this guy is doing it specifically to get a reaction out of us. If we try and engage him in a regular conversation, clearly it's not going to work because not a normal person says that. So just let him get his little thing across and just leave him alone. And it really affected you a lot more.
Yeah, I'm the opposite way. I wanted to respond. But even if something were to happen at a restaurant, if somebody is being passive aggressive or something.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say something about it.
I'm better at stepping up on the passive aggressiveness, but stuff like oh, they got my order wrong, babe, can you go tell them
yeah.
Right.
They're gonna think that they're gonna look at me but I can't say it's my wife's problem.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, bro.
I blame my wife for everything, dude. If I want to get off the phone with you, and you don't, I say, my wife needs me, dude. I bring my wife up all the time. She be like,
"Oh, so you blame
I did not call you."
Escape. That's
messed up,
dude. That comes up. No, that comes with it. If y'all hadn't been doing that, y'all been missing out. Listen, Listen, in this,
wait, you do it all the time or sometimes?
Just 4 years.
No, anytime I need to, dude. I always blame Rondora.
I do if I don't want people coming over or whatever, I might say Tvon's getting home early and she doesn't like people. She just likes to decompress from her day, and what you do. So it's not really a lie.
Right, I get that.
I don't care. I use it.
I don't like.
He's more seasoned than we are, though. I'm too scared to use it all the time right now. I'm too scared to use it. So
how many years do you have?
Who?
21.
Whoa, you have 21 years with
your wife? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
21 years?
Asking you.
Oh, me? 6.
Yeah.
It'll be 6 in November.
Oh, 6. Okay, gotcha.
6. It'll be 6 in November. I've learned a lot, but I'm learning a lot from G, man. It's just a marriage guru over there. So I definitely take a lot of wisdom. But 21 years, man, is good, man. Drop some knowledge real quick, man. What you learned in 21 years?
Listen, there are phases though, because I couldn't be like I am now 21 years ago because I ain't had that much credit. You say I got good credit now. Okay. You say my credit report is flawless in the house. So I get away with more.
Marriage credit report.
Right. So
that's good.
I can push certain buttons that I couldn't push before. She'd be mad for 2 weeks. Now I can say it, and I know how to get her to, babe, I know how to get around it. All right. So before, where I would tiptoe around the house and not say things that bother me, now I just say it. And I say it with a smile, but girl, and I'll say what's wrong. And she might have a little attitude for a second. It's like, you know you're wrong with that. And we just get through it, But back in the day, if I would have said that, it would have been like, oh, topsy-turvy for 2 weeks or whatever. So I have a lot more leeway to bring up things. I can say stuff like I couldn't say nothing about no food back in the day for the first 12 years or so. But now I got opinions on the food.
Oh yeah.
The first 12
years, not
12. No. It take a while. It's steady growth. Steady growth.
So the things you used to argue about back then, you just don't argue about now.
No, the arguments are just faster. Okay. It's like something that would take us a week to get through back then. Now it takes a couple of minutes. Because we know each other. I mean, I say what's on my mind. She say what's on her mind, and we keep pushing. So it's not this long drawn out, And man, we've read, you see all these books back here, dude. We've read so much, dude. So it's not even just us been experience. It's experience plus everybody else's experience.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So for Paul, you guys, what's the biggest thing you all have learned coming up on 4 years that you say you kind of are taking away so far? What's the biggest thing for you guys?
I think the biggest thing for us, and honestly, like COVID has been such a blessing because we need quality time with each other and we need to work on our communication. And you only can work on your communication with quality time.
Spend time with each
right.
other.
So like we've like bottled in like, you know, these 3 months of COVID, like our whole relationship quality time. Cause I'm a teacher and she's a hairstylist. So we see each other for 2 hours and I'm ready to go to bed and she's hyped up from her day.
Right.
And like, you know, if you take away cooking dinner, eating it, watching Netflix, we have like 30 seconds a day to hang out with each other. So we have like, there might be something that's bothering me and I don't tell her for 4 days because I don't really have any time. But now, I mean, I'm with her every day. No one's going anywhere. Everything's shut down. So we have to figure it out.
So, it took us 4 years and COVID and quarantine to learn how to communicate.
So I think a lot of people experience that though, for sure. I think we've seen the memes, we've seen people talk about it. You know, COVID is kind of make or break, you know, for a lot of couples, a lot more arguments, a lot of good times too, though, with COVID too. You know, being forced to stay at home. I think your time is needed.
I think
ours was more make than anything.
I think for me though, like I'm where he said like you can say things to Rondor whenever like you can say it, it's not a big thing. I was sort of the opposite where I didn't want to say something like this is bothering me because I'm like, you know what, she might get mad and I don't want to have an argument, so I'm just not going to tell her about it. And then I'll say it like 3 days, be like, how long have you been feeling this way? Oh, since Monday. Why didn't you tell me? And then she's more mad because I didn't tell her than if I just said,
then about the thing.
Yeah, I didn't appreciate you leaving your shoes on the bed or whatever. So it's an example, relax. Didn't happen, but she's pretty good about like, oh, I'm sorry you feel the way. Thanks for telling me. And it's a work in progress, but
there it is. So speaking about communication, so what's it been like going through this time in America's history? But it's always been police brutality against Black folks. It's been happening forever. You know, even the public, you know, they started filming it. Sometimes they catch some of it on film. And so it started with Rodney King as far as being public for everybody to know. But we've always known it. But anyway, since it seems as if this last incident and it's not even the last incident, but George Floyd, it seems like there's more publicity around it. And so everybody's talking about it, not just in the Black community, but everywhere they're talking about it. And I'm wondering, how does that affect you all? Like when you're out and about, and how does it affect you all in the home together? Like, how did y'all talk about it?
Yeah. Well, I'll start by saying, like, I have actually talked with some other interracial couples, like Black and white couples, and we're all like, we need some type of like support group because it's definitely it's a very unique situation to be in. Like, obviously we love each other, but it's kind of hard to see those things on TV and then go home and still be like, I can't call it a white space, but it's also not like a Black space with someone who like 100% understands, knows, like gets it, feels it like the same amount I do or in the same way. So it's unique in that way. It definitely it makes it more difficult in many different ways. Like it makes it more difficult for him to comfort me and know how to comfort me. It makes it a little bit more difficult for me to accept his comfort and explain like how I want to be comforted, because you know I also don't necessarily want to have to explain how I'm feeling, because that's like, you know, more exhausting. But yeah, it's definitely unique. Palsy's been doing like a lot of learning throughout this time, but also like since we've been married, he's been doing a lot of learning and unlearning. But like when something is so highlighted, like George Floyd, and so emotional, and like I was crying for 2 weeks straight, didn't want to get out of bed, and you know, I don't know. It definitely it's difficult.
Yeah. Well, and I know I'm thinking of an example. We were coming back from church a couple of years ago, and I cut a woman off on accident, but I did it. and she and Tvon, white lady, were talking back and forth or whatever. And
I actually didn't say anything that was disrespectful. The woman just started going, like, she just was going off.
Yeah.
And I was confused at what happened in general. So I just kept saying, what? Like, what's going on? And so, yeah, she ended up calling me the N-word.
Driving off.
With an ER. And then she grinned at me because she knew it got to me. Like, she saw my reaction. Yeah. I just kind of like froze. And then she like drove off.
Yeah.
And so that was really hard. It took about a minute of me just like sitting in the car trying to process. And then I just like lost it, started hyperventilating. That was the first time I've been called the N-word to my face. Like, obviously in passing, but not to my face where I could see the person and they're reacting and all that stuff. And so it was hard because he was trying to comfort me, and I wanted nothing. She didn't
want to like see me at all. I'm like, well, clearly I don't hate black people. Like, I'm married to you, and not even putting a race aside. Like, if you're my wife and you're in trouble, I want to make you feel better.
Right. From the nurture side of things.
And she's like, I don't know if you said it or not, but you're like, you look like this woman. Like, I can't deal with you right now. And then I actually, I think, texted your mom. I'm like, this is what happened. Like, what the hell am I supposed to do? Like,
right.
So that was tough, but I feel like we had it wasn't, and this is like a year ago, like the racist stuff that you see. I'd be obviously against it, but I wasn't enough of an advocate of doing things. And she said, it's one thing now, but if you have black kids, you can't just be like, I get where you're coming from. You have to be just as much of a ally and being just as pissed off when it's your kid. So she said, I'd really be a lot more comfortable. Like, if you've got to educate yourself on why we act certain ways, like read on certain things, why we're persecuted against. And so I've read a couple of books on it and articles or whatever, and picking up on microaggressions that before.
You didn't even know what microaggressions were.
I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know, like, first time we were in the airport visiting her family when we were first dating, she's like rolling her eyes. And what's the problem? She's like, this woman's been following me around the store the whole time. Like, oh, really? I didn't even notice. But now. What
actually you said was, I don't think she's doing that, which that was something that he had to unlearn too.
Right.
I was like, listen, if a black person is saying like this is their experience in that moment, even though you can't see it because you don't have to see it, you just have to. You just, as an ally, you just have to believe and like support what they're saying. Yeah. And so now that's not.
Well, now
you can see
and
it.
Now I'm thinking of an example. Sort of right before COVID happened, we went to a Korean barbecue place, and the woman, I mean, she sort of wasn't a warm person at all, but she was cordial enough to me and had an attitude. And Tvon wasn't even like demanding stuff. She said, "Oh, could we sit there?" And she was rolling her eyes and stuff. And Tvon's like, "Are you okay? Like, did I do something wrong?" And she had an attitude. And before I'd say, "Oh, she might just be having a tough day." And I think that was sort of the first time I'm like, "Babe, this woman sucks. We're either talking to the manager or we're leaving. I'm not dealing with this." You're like, "You know what? I get it. You're there for me. Let's just stay." And you actually were the one that was like, she's not waiting on us. Like, we're done with her. And but it's stuff that you have to educate when you don't even notice it now. It's a work in progress for sure. But
so you said something that brings up another question. She said you're gonna have black babies, and that's something that kind of stands out because obviously the baby is going to be half black and half white, but society says that baby is black. What do you all think about that?
So we've talked about this a lot, and we kind of went into it in one of our YouTube episodes too. But like at the end of the day, our kids are going to be black in the world. That's just how like society is going to see them, unfortunately. But part of the reason why we moved to Atlanta is because we wanted to be in neighborhoods where our kids could get to see both sides of them. I know that everybody's going to make them choose, no matter, like, usually black group, a black group of people will make a kid choose, and a white group of people will make the kid choose. You won't be, you'll never be black enough. You'll never be white enough. So in our household, we talked about like making sure that we let them know they are mixed. They're black and they're white. And that's how we plan on referring to them here. But also, I feel like we're going to kind of have to raise them as if they were black children.
Right. Yeah. And make just like you said, in the house, they're black and white, but they're black in society. We're going to show them that. Like, we're going to raise them in the house where they're going to have white family and black family that love them the same, love them very much. And we're going to say, half of you is white. This is what's great about your white side of the family. This is what's great about your black side. But when you go into society, they don't see that. They're going to look like they're going to follow you around the store when your father, they're not going to think you're together. They're going to they're probably we talked to the author of one of the books that I wrote, and she said, just get ready for Tvon. You're going to they're going to think you're the nanny. And Paul, you're going to be the white savior that's like raising a black kid. And it's just the way that it is. So tell them early, like, we're going to love you. We're going to treat the same your family is. But most of the world, even though it's 2020 or whenever we have kids, it's not that way. Mm-hmm. Right. So be proud of both of your white and blackness. But out there, you have to take certain precautions. And it's going to be different than, when you're around family and friends that love you.
Right. Well, speaking about that, man, that kind of brings to mind both of you all had to like meet each other's families and become family with the other family. And so I want to hear like the humor in Erica meeting your family and becoming a part of your family. And likewise the same thing with I remember meeting you for the first time, and that was just hilarious, dude. We had a ball with you. But so if you all can kind of talk about blending and blending from a standpoint, not when we were all together at the wedding, but when Erica went by herself to your family and when you came by yourself to her family. What were those experiences like?
So when I went to Maine, the first thing, I would say probably within the first 30 minutes, his grandma was there. She showed up there. And then she pulled me onto her lap. She had like this grandma grip, like this, it hurt. And she pulled me onto her lap and she's like, so what does your family think about you dating this old white fella? And I'm like, and I said, well, what do y'all think about him dating me? And then she goes, well, I don't care if you're white, black, yellow, purple. You know that thing people do. I don't care what color you are. And then that was the only conversation that we had about it.
It was nice because my parents growing up always said, we don't care who it is as long as you love them, they treat you well. But I'll get to it. But it's easy to say it when you grow up in all white people. So I didn't like bring her home to prove a point, but it was nice to see that. It was. So when I first was dating, I just went on a date with like one or two with Tvon, and my mom's like, "Oh, what are you up to?" or whatever. I saw I'm seeing a girl or whatever. I'm going on a date, and I said I went on one date. It was really good, but she's going to Costa Rica, and I'll see her when she gets back. And my mom's like, "Oh, okay. Hey, make sure your new friend. Make sure you tell her hope she gets a nice tan in Costa Rica." Like, okay.
And so obviously he just said okay, like he didn't tell her it's not a problem that she's already tan. But then he finally told his mom my name, so he said her name is Tvon or whatever, and apparently she was like, Tvon, huh?
She white?
Is she white?
I said no. Is she black? I said it's only other option, right? Fuchsia or.
She as soon as she heard my name.
Yeah, so that was pretty much it for her, and like it was a learning curve going to Maine. Like she was looking for like black hair products at the Walmart in Ellsworth, Maine. I'm like, there's no black people, let alone black hair products. And she wanted to make greens, and they had one bag at the grocery store. And my mom's like, "Oh, wow. Put it aside." They're like, "Man, this has been here since The store's open. Like, you don't have to worry about it. But
what was your experience like?
Yeah, it's funny because we were watching something with a friend, and it was like they talked to the black father, and the black father like gave them the talk, like your dad gave me.
It was
my cousin. They're like, "Does that really happen?" I'm like, "Yes, it does."
Yeah,
it does. And then she's like, "Do white people really do?" I'm like, "Not really." Like,
yeah.
But like, I went the Christmas I went. We were dating for half a year. Said we loved each other. You know, a solid relationship. And I just met like everybody. There was like, well, I went. We met. Well, your dad, you guys were there. Couture was there. The kids, and everyone was talking to me and nice and asking about my life or whatever. But then we went to that after party or whatever in Louisville, and it was like you pulled me in. It was like 20 guys and me. Just like berating me with questions like, what you can provide to this? I'm like, I didn't know half these people's names are. Just strangers like coming in like an auditorium, like, oh, what's happening there?
We do that as a culture, though.
No, but I personally like I can't deal with people that are too shy or they get too touchy or they got soft skin. So I like being thrown into the lion's den and getting the questions and, joking around, because I think right away it was like, oh, he's not scared of anything. Like, I have nothing to hide. I'm a good person. So
yeah.
So it
you did good. You did good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
So I got to ask you, Paul. So I guess now that you all have, and Tvon, you all's families came together, you mesh well. It's been good. How is it when it comes to discussing just the things of race between families now that you all have been married? Is it a comfortable thing to discuss with your families now?
For the most part, it is.
With our immediate families, it's fine.
Yeah, well, with our immediate families, it's fine. But there was, yeah. So for the most part, it's fine. Like, I have no racist people on my side. I guess your dad said he lost a friend because he said.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, just like having the conversations about it. Yeah, my dad said, he had a friend that was against interracial marriage and all that stuff. So he obviously was like, I want nothing to do with you at this point.
Wow.
My son-in-law is white, and my
let me clarify, Austin. She's saying my brother said I don't want anything to do with you. To the guy, not the guys in there. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
The same thing happened with his mom. This was an interesting thing that happened recently. She had a friend for like over 25 years that she, kind of silently pretended wasn't racist, and she just like sent him a long message saying, I want nothing to do with you, blah blah blah.
Wow.
So, but having the conversations with like our immediate families, it's pretty, I would say, seamless, because we all pretty much have the same values, and we believe in like the same things. But like past our immediate families, like there definitely is some stuff like that I personally would not talk about race with those people. Like, there's definitely some people in our families that we have to avoid talking about that.
And that's such a real thing. I think it's interesting. I know you guys know the show that kind of hit Netflix right before COVID that everybody was on, that Love is Blind show. And it was I love that show. I love the concept of it, but I think the interracial couple in the show was like everyone's favorite. Now, have you all seen the show?
Yeah.
I'm sure you all have.
We reached out to them because he's a white guy from Maine and she's a black girl from Detroit.
Right, I know from it. Right.
Yeah.
No,
are you serious?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
the show's incredible. So when you said that, it perked in my mind immediately. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you. I know
they stole your identity.
No, that's it.
That's
what everyone's telling us. Like, oh my God, you guys. Just like them. I'm like, they're just like us. We were married 2 years before.
Right. This is like deja vu. So, with that show, Love is Blind, and even though the concept is not how you got together, But I think the scene that kind of sticks out is when the father met him for the first time.
Yeah.
I think it was the first hurdle of getting over. She was getting married to somebody she just met,
Right.
like, 20 days before, but also the fact that he was white. And I thought that the father probably had the best reaction probably possible. Yeah. But I still think there was a level of support. And it's a good thing that you said that at least your immediate family, the support was there for you guys. You both felt that way when you were introduced to each other?
100%. Yeah. And it was great because at the rehearsal dinner, it was all of her people and all of my people. My aunt hosted it she had a big house in Massachusetts. And I think it was two of your grandparents. Granny D and G Granny were in their 80s. Yeah. Obviously have faced their share of racism with white people. And they said to my dad, referring to my aunt and uncle, these are the nicest people that I've met. They take care of us. They love us for who we are. And it probably had to take a lot for her to say that. But yeah, we haven't had, for her being really in Seventh-day Adventist, Christian city girl from Detroit. I'm a white Jewish kid from Maine. There's a lot of conflict that could have happened. It just hasn't really been a thing for us.
All of our issues most of our issues come from like outsiders, but like, being on the internet, like being on Instagram and having a YouTube and all that stuff, like we're obviously inviting more of outsiders into our inner world. So we definitely get a lot more negativity coming our way than we used to.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And that's still prevalent today for you guys? I mean, you still feel, is it, I know we talked about, going out to eat, doing different things, what's the misconception really or what's one thing that I guess those who aren't interracial couples, what's the one thing that you all think you will really experience the most that's not really talked about?
I think for me the biggest thing is people don't think we're together, or they don't think we're together. Yeah. Like we'll be at a, like I use this example with, maybe it was one of her friends or whatever. I'm like, if she was white or if I was black and we were like at a bar like this, you'd assume we were together. But like, I'll be here like right next to Tvon and some guy will be like, hey, let's, I'm like,
yeah. And girls hit on him. Like, girls hit on him with me right there too. Like,
and that
they just don't assume that we're together.
Or like I'll say, all right, can we have a table for two? And she's next to me, like, all right, would you like to wait for the rest of your party to come? I'm like, it's right here. It's right here.
Right.
And this has happened like literally in so many places. Like it's happened at the grocery store.
Oh, it's
happened at the airport where the lady's like, ma'am, you need to wait your turn. It just happened?
We were at we went to like a nursery to get flowers for a backyard or whatever. And I was tired, so we had our dog, so I was sitting on like a chair or whatever, away from Tvon and my cousin. And and she said to the woman that worked there, she's like, oh, do you know where my husband is? And she's like,
well, I said, do you know where my husband is? And then I said, did you see the guy with the dog? And she said, well, I saw there's a guy with the dog, but I don't know if it's your husband. And I was like,
we're the only people there.
There was one dog there. There's one dog here. So.
Well, and then we went. She was getting a massage or a pedicure or something in Buckhead, and she was like one of the only people there. So I dropped her off, and I went and I got a coffee, and I came back, and they said, "Oh, would you like a service?" And I said, "No, I'm just waiting for my wife." They're like, she's not here. I'm like, I dropped her off 10 minutes ago.
I'm pretty sure
she texted me she's getting a massage, and they looked stumped. And then they looked at, they like sort of like whispered at each other, and they're like, if it's who we think we're mentioning, she's almost done. I'm like, she's a black woman. They're like, oh yeah, she's got like 5 minutes. Okay, thank you.
Oh my goodness, Doc. Did you say they did the whisper like this?
Yeah, they looked at each other. I'm like, we think she's done in 10 minutes. Like, but then on the flip side, like if I'm trying to help people, like I'm like, oh, have you seen my wife? She's a black lady with locks. They look at me like, I'm like, you didn't think it was a black lady with locks, so don't look at me. I'm trying to help you because you never would have thought it was her.
Never would have thought
trying to be helpful.
Right. No, I get that.
I think what make everything better if you just stop wearing all this Patriot paraphernalia. You know, I think
I'm gonna get to that at the end of the show, man.
I think that would help out. So, hey, tell me about the show, man. Tell me about your YouTube. How long have you had the channel?
Ooh, how long have we had it? We started it in quarantine, so we've had it 2 months now, actually.
Okay.
And yep, we've had it 2 months. We got real bored during quarantine. We made one video. My sister like hyped us up, was like, y'all got what it takes.
Yeah,
we were
she
like,
always.
oh man. So we just kept making videos. We were having fun with it. So we have 14 videos now, and it's everything. It's like a blog. So we, we do topics sometimes like about our marriage, about interracial dating. Yep. We keep it fun. We'll play games sometimes. We'll
play the voting game last week.
Yep. We'll let people just kind of let them in on what we're doing. So one time we had a photo shoot and we were like, okay, we'll record this and the process and stuff like that. So yeah, it's very vlog lifestyle ish, but it's been a lot of fun. And that's one of the ways we've been getting our quality time every week.
Yeah. Good. So what has been a surprise? Like, what have you put out there that you're surprised people were interested in? Like, you thought it might be a little interesting, but people were very interested.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's some videos that our chemistry's great. The editing, we have little like things to make people laugh. We're like, oh, they are gonna love this. This is gonna blow up. And there's just no views at all. But then we'll have another video where like, I don't really feel great. I was like, well, we gotta post it, and people like, oh, that's so great what you said. Like we did one with the photo shoot.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, people might not like it, and people like, oh, this is so great that you guys did that. The editing is great.
I think people just want to see. I think our videos of us talking about like interracial things how we met, us dating, like they care more about that stuff.
Yeah.
Which honestly doesn't surprise me because I feel like we get those questions all the time, directly and indirectly, by people in person. So that does not surprise me at all.
Yeah.
Oh, so actually the things that people would ask you, but they don't ask you because it's rude. Now they get to just find out because you're putting it out there.
Yeah. And some people have actually told us that, like, oh my gosh, we're so happy that you're like talking about this because like I've always wanted to know how it was and can you talk about this and blah blah blah. So like people are interested, and it's funny to me that people don't just feel like they can ask that question. Like,
well, people are so the other way, like more so your people actually are like, I just I went to this white church. Sorry, Paul, I'm so sorry. I'm like just acknowledging that the people were white doesn't necessarily mean you're racist.
No, it's equal though.
It means you got out of church early. That's what it means.
Yeah. Oh, the first time I went to church, I'm like, how much longer? We haven't got to the sermon
yet.
The
first time.
That's
it was
a
the
fact.
First time we went to church here, and we went to a church that's like known for being a really long time.
West End.
And
church.
You can edit it out.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, go ahead.
Like,
talk your talk, bro.
We want to put the picture in his head. We'll edit it
out. Talk your talk, bro. It's a 3-hour service. We can say that.
Like, it's so good. It really is so good. But they sing a lot, and it's
communion too.
Oh, it was communion that day. We were in church for like 4 hours. And I don't know why we
do and then do communion still. Oh, because then you gotta go wash your feet and come back.
They didn't say.
I'm sorry.
They didn't say. I don't know how we do that. Say we're going to communion. And they're like, all right, women over here, men downstairs. I'm like, oh, it's like a pickup basketball game or something. Like you finally get to get out of the seat. And I see people taking their shoes off. I'm like,
wait a minute. Yeah, no, that's funny. That's funny. I know, Paul, that's got to be a bit of a shock, not a shock, but a culture shock, if you will, in terms of the length of service.
Yeah.
The first time you sat through it, I mean, were you inside, or you like hoping it would end? What was that like for you?
I was hoping it would end because when I met her, it was enough. It was enough for me to say we're going to go to church every Saturday. You can't, if you're with me, you can't watch college football. You said
I wasn't even saying that because we were just dating.
Yeah, but I thought she said it would mean a lot if you go to church. So I went to church with her every Saturday, but it was a white church on Cape Cod, so service was like an hour and 15 minutes. I'm like, oh, this isn't bad. Like,
we were always out by 12.
So I thought that's what church was, and then we come here, and she's like, we're gonna go to church. I'm like, great, like, awesome, and we went there. Yeah, and it was just.
In the beginning, he's like, wow, the music's really good here. Yeah. I'm like, I know. Yeah. And then he's like, wow, the music is really
then you look at the program, and we're like right here. We have to go all the way down.
That's so funny.
But I told her, like growing up in as a Jew, like you go to synagogue, there's only the 10-minute sermons in English. Everything else is Hebrew. So it's shorter, but it's a lot more boring because it's just these ancient Hebrew prayers, and then you're just sort of falling asleep. Then the rabbi says, "All right, and you're like, okay, it's a sermon, like it's English." So she said, "Oh, if you want me to learn about your culture, we can no, I don't think you
no.
go there. It's all Hebrew. Like I'm good."
Yeah, he's only taking me once.
Hey, I heard that the pastor at your wedding did a Hebrew prayer.
He did a great job.
He did do that.
Austin, it was hilarious, Doc, because I heard it again, and dude, I sound like a black guy from Detroit doing a Hebrew prayer. Yo, I was trying to do everything with the K's and the H's and stuff, man, but I still sound like bruh, man, from the fifth floor. Doing.
Adonai. Do you remember any of it?
That's it.
Yo, so how long did it take you to learn it?
I ended up reading it. I had to read it.
Okay, you had to read it.
But they taught me how to say it. Like if it's a H and a C together, this is how you do it. If it's a this, so they kind of taught me how to read it, but I still sounded the same.
No, I feel you exactly the same, probably. That's funny. Yeah.
It was the thought that
it's not like Spanish where the words are sort of similar and you can figure it out as dots and squiggles and lines. So you can't. You just gotta sort of guess.
I took 3 years of Hebrew, and I'm ashamed to say, bro, I know nothing, man. It's so far out of me now, man.
Yeah. You took 3 years of Hebrew?
So for at Oakwood for my theology degree, we had to take.
Oh, nice.
Or let me say, not 3 years. Well, no, about 3 years. Yep, of Hebrew and then Greek. Uh-huh. So, but because Greek's a dead language, but Hebrew was tough. I can't even lie to you. Saying it out loud is crazy.
Absolutely
crazy.
We went to Israel. Was it 2 years ago now?
Last year, I think.
Last year, and our tour guide was from Philly, but she lives in Jerusalem now. Right. And she took 4 years of Hebrew in high school, 4 years in college. And she said even moving to Israel after 8 years, it took her like a year to be fluent and be conversational because it's just so different.
Yeah, you got yeah.
So tell me, we're gonna close up soon, but we didn't talk about being newlyweds much. You got 4 years in, coming up in 11 days. So I mean they're not. I want to know, like, since you're not really newlyweds anymore, you like 4 years strong. Like what do you wish you knew the first day that would have made everything easier for you?
The first day.
Yeah, like.
Oh, that's a good question. I feel like.
Hey, G, what were you about to say? You about to say something? I think I know what you're about.
It's about sex, isn't it?
I know what you're about to say. I know you stopped yourself.
That's on our YouTube channel.
That's good promotion. Go to our YouTube channel.
All right, good transition.
Tune in.
Tell us about your YouTube channel so we can tune in.
Okay, so our YouTube channel is called Fineman Says. Our last name is Fineman, so I'm Tvon Fineman. I took his last name. Paul Fineman. So Fineman says, it's kind of like, it's a play on words, like Simon Says. Fineman says. And then, we talk about all things.
Everything, really.
Our relationship, our marriage, our lives in general. So it's fun. It's a good time. We definitely keep it silly. We have some serious conversations on there too. But it's a good balance.
Yeah.
I need y'all to know this is the couple from Love Is Blind, and y'all not gonna tell me any different right here.
Y'all are the couple.
Y'all are the couple from Love Is Blind. There's no question.
Show people that love is blind, even though it really isn't. I'm sorry, it's not. It is. I love you, but it ain't blind.
We're both in agreement. The whole I don't see color, because that minimizes the beauty of a black person, of a white person. Like see color, and just if they're different. They're different.
Oh, that's a good point. People that say that you're lying.
Yeah,
I get that.
Let me also just say that we reached out to Lauren and Cameron.
Yeah,
Lauren, no response. That's cool. Lauren got a lot of, she got a lot of.
She got a lot of people in her DMs right now.
Yeah. So I reached out to Cameron and said, "Hey, this is everything I said. Blah blah blah." I told him our story. Very similar. Hey, we live here in Atlanta too. If you ever want to meet up. And we were so excited. I said, "Babe, Cameron wrote back." He was like, "What?" We were like going crazy, like, Cameron. And then we like sat down to read the text. It was like two lines, one sentence, and it was like, "Oh wow, so glad to know that you can relate to our story. Thanks for supporting."
Oh,
big time now. They don't want to reach out to us.
We were like, "We don't."
They're big time. They're too big time now.
But it still would be cool to meet them.
Yeah, absolutely. It would.
We're salty now, but if they came in our house, like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's funny. So I got to ask you, does the success of your marriage rely on the fact that you have to be a Patriots fan, or are you not projecting that?
I mean, it's a part of it.
But no, your Lions are always first.
I am always, and he said he grew up watching the Lions every Thanksgiving, so he has always been a Lions fan.
I've always liked them from a distance, but they never made it to the.
To be fair, in a Patriots household, it's really hard not to love the Patriots. I'm just saying.
No, they're a winning team, man. Tom Brady did a great thing, and now you got Cam Newton. Now you got to be feeling good, bro.
Now we got Cam.
You got him for a steal too, with $1 million. It was nothing. That was good, man.
You're so quiet over there.
Listen, because I disagree. I totally disagree. And I can't believe my niece is over here talking about in a Patriots house. Oh my goodness.
She's happy.
Listen, hey, this is a Steeler house over here, though. So, I'll never give up my hatred for the Patriots. And since I'm a Piston, I'll never give up my hatred for the Celtics.
You should hate them.
But were you never a Lions fan, G, at all?
Yeah. But we never won. So you'd have to have a separate team. See, you'd be with the Lions all year, and then you'd have to have a playoff team that you watch. So who do you watch in the playoffs?
Okay, so you understand me. I'm always a Lions fan before anything. And if it's Lions against Patriots, you tell them who I root for.
Lions every time.
Always.
All right.
Trash
Yo, that's good.
the whole time.
That's good, y'all.
All right, man. I've enjoyed our conversation, and I've seen about 4 episodes, but I'm gonna make sure you got some episodes that don't have as many likes on it. I'm gonna go over there and find some of those episodes and watch them.
Yeah.
My wife, I think, has seen all of them, so I'm gonna definitely get over there and watch some more. Yeah. So she loves them. They're great. They're great episodes, man. They're great. And so we're going to support you, and we thank you for coming on. We had a great time. Listen, everybody out there in TV land, in what land is this? In iPad land, in iPhone land, like everybody out there. Look, we're asking you to share this with your friends, share it with your family, subscribe, whatever you got to do just to come back every single week to see what we got going on. All right, take care.
We love the Academy Podcast.
You've been listening to the Academy Podcast with Austin and G. Hit the subscribe button and come again. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, and of course, Facebook. Oh yeah, and if you know someone who could use the information you just gained, take a minute to share. Much love from the AP.